everyone, it's Shell from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is not a Christmas card. I'm taking a break to show you the shaker card that I made for my mom for her birthday. So I wanted to do some watercoloring, and it was all inspired by this paper pack that I have from My Mind's Eye called Hootenanny, and I picked out this background paper. We're going to be using the Cupcake Cutie MFT stamp set, as well as the balloon stacks from MFT, which is super old. I'm using Canson XL watercolor paper, and it measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I ran that through my Sizzix machine and cut out the balloon. So that is going to be our center piece, our shaker. And instead of cutting out another piece of watercolor cardstock, I just decided to go ahead and stamp on the balloon. So I stamped the girl image with the big cupcake. And then I wanted to do the front piece kind of similar to the background. I originally was going to do ink blending on top of it, but I decided against that. And I think now that I think about it, I probably should have done a little bit on there, like maybe a light pink. So now we're going to kind of make the front panel match the pattern paper. So we're going to be using Honeybee Stamps Merry Mail, and then MFT's Sweet Shop, as well as some dies from MFT. These are from a really old stack set, I believe, and I believe it's the one that was a pennant, triangles, and party hats all in one, and it just depended on which way you did the pendants. The larger, I think 1 or 2 pendants were ones that could be made into party hats. The other ones were just triangles that could be made into pennants, and you could actually use the party hats upside down as pennants. Oh, and then it came with a couple decorations, so we're going to cut them out of watercolor paper and watercolor them. So I'm using a couple colors of Distress ink, and I decided to use Distress ink again instead of oxide because I didn't want that oxidized look when it reacts with water. Right now we're using saltwater taffy. We also use spun sugar, dried marigold, faded jeans. The skin is tea dye. Her hair is going to be vintage photo and scattered straw. And I also use a little bit of that new lumberjack plaid in the one of the flowers on her head, and then I'm also going to use it on the front. Oh, I left a lot of the watercoloring in so that we could kind of talk a little bit about story time, or do a little story time. Just give you guys an update as to what's been going on and why things have been so crazy around here. But I feel like that's kind of every story time, is that just things are crazy. Life is just crazy lately. I'm sure it's the same for you guys. So since this card is for my mom for her birthday, we did not actually get to go out and celebrate her birthday yet. When everybody has their birthday, we go out to dinner. That's one of the big things that we do. We all try to get out and go to dinner together so that we can celebrate the person whose birthday it is. But unfortunately, my mom's birthday is 10 days before Christmas, and things are just insane here. It's also a little bit harder. My sister and her family don't live close anymore, and my parents are down. They split their time between being up between my brother and myself, and then my sister. So I never know where they're going to be, if they're going to be an hour away or they're going to be 15 minutes away. So my sister was actually up here on Friday, and I took her to the airport with Madeline because Madeline had her first ever travel competition. So she cheers for 2 squads. Brooklyn cheers for 1. And one of the squads that Madeline cheers for is a travel team. So they went to Ohio for 2 days of competition, and it was a great experience for them. It was a little humbling. They are used to getting first place. So on all 3 of the squads, the 2 this year for Madeline and the 1 last year for Madeline, they pretty much always got first place. I think once they got second, and that was the first time I went to see them, and Madeline said I was a jinx for her. But anyway, so basically it's first or second for them. So coming in 6th out of 9th was a little bit I guess humbling for them. She did a really, really good job, but she's a little perfectionist, and it's really funny because, she was like, they dropped me out of my stunt early, and not dropping her, they just let her go earlier than what they should have, and somebody fell out of a stunt, not her, one of the other girls that was mirroring what she was doing, fell out of a stunt early, didn't hurt herself, just came down early, and So, she was a little bit upset about that. But again, she said she had a great time and it was a fun experience. It was just her and my sister, and them being twins, I think they really appreciate the time that they get to spend one-on-one with each of their parents. So Brooklyn was with my brother-in-law this weekend. Even though she tried to come up and hang out with me, she said that she wanted to, she would keep me company on Saturday because she thought I'd be lonely. So, which just meant she wanted to come over here and craft. So she was down there. She had a basketball game. And then I'll see my brother and his girls this week because I take Mila to school one day a week. I'm actually tomorrow, which is when this is actually going to go up on Tuesday. So for me, it's Monday night. So tomorrow is my last day of work for the year. So I'm a little bit stressed out because there's a lot of things that are going on and a lot of things I feel like I have to finish. I worked about 12 hours today with maybe a 15-20-minute lunch. So really got a lot of things done, but I'm sure that there's going to be last minute things that tomorrow everyone's going to remember that they need from me. Tried to work on as much as I could today and then into tonight so that I could hopefully be a little bit ahead of the game before tomorrow. So as far as what I'm doing with my time off, I am going to be doing some crafting. This week, I'm going out to breakfast twice. I'm going out with a current coworker and a former coworker who has since retired to breakfast on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, I'm going out with my mom and some of my aunts, my dad, and I think maybe one of my uncles. We're all going to go out to breakfast, and I will get to meet my cousin's baby for the first time. I think he's around 6 months old, so I've never got to meet him, so I'm very excited about that. And Mila will be there, and she loves babies, so very excited to, get to go out to lunch with family and some friends and enjoy my downtime and just really do some crafts, finish up cards that I have to get out for Christmas because, you'd think doing the card series I would be ahead, but nope, I am definitely behind on that. And then really just relaxing, catching up on some TV and spending time with the cats. Fred's doing really well, and so is Lucy. With Fred, we're just taking a day at a time. And that's it. Okay, so let's get back to the card. I'm now using my ATG around the outside of the balloon. And I have this terrible thing that I do, and I always mismeasure the acetate. I always cut it in the wrong direction. So it was almost big enough. So what I did was I slid it down as far as I could to the bottom and then went ahead and just put another piece behind it. We're going to put the watercolored image right over top of it. So in the end, you're not even going to notice that there's a line there, but you just have to make sure that it overlaps a little bit just so that everything stays in there. Now, I saw this, and I can't remember who did this, but this is genius because I was cutting it and then putting it together, and then the halves weren't even. And so I'm taking the foam tape, folding it in half, removing the paper from one side so I can make it flexible. Now I just remove the paper from both sides and just go ahead and form it around the balloon. Super easy. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. So thank you to whoever showed me this, and I apologize, I can't remember who it was, but totally genius. I just can't believe that I never thought to do this before. It might have been Amy Rasavi. That might have been who it was. So I'm going to use some of the extra pieces around the edges of the card just to keep everything the same height. If you don't do it, pieces of your card are going to sag. So I'm just trying to get foam tape on pretty much all of it. It doesn't have to be on every single square inch of the surface, but just so that, it'll be lifted up evenly on all of the edges. So I'm using a couple of sparkle blends as well as some random sequins that I have in my stash. So this one was, I believe this was from a Hero Arts kit. It was the birthday kit from so long ago, and it has a lot of different colors in there. So I just threw that in there. And then this one is Your Flamazing, and this is from Sparkle Blends. And unfortunately, Sparkle Blends just went out of business. They were in business for about 5 years. I did some guest design work for them. It was a great business. Amber is a fantastic woman, and I hope that maybe one day she can open up again because some of her blends were so cute. So this one was one of my favorites, and our family has a thing with flamingos. So I made sure that I added a little bit of flamingos in there because, you know, it's a family thing. So real quick, if you guys haven't heard the story before, I don't know if I told this. When my cousin went to Italy, my parents decorated her front lawn with flamingos, like those plastic ones with the wings that flap in the wind. And my aunt and uncle were mortified when they came home from getting her from the airport. And then, so like there's been a war between our families about putting stuff on their front lawns and things like that. So that's what that was. So now we just have kind of a thing for flamingos. Well, I'm taking one of the pieces from the Happy Birthday to You Sparkle Blend set, gluing it down. This is one of the ways that you can ensure things are always in the shaker window. You can always glue little pieces down and then everything else will shake around it. So you see there that you can see that happy birthday perfectly, and I thought that would look really cute. I fussy cut the image out, so it's not the best cutting because I'm definitely not a great cutter. I probably should have used the Brother Scan and Cut, but I was too lazy to go ahead and drag that out. So I decided to go around the edges with a chisel tip marker just to kind of make the white core of the paper not so noticeable. It looks like you cut it out pretty perfectly when you go ahead and do this. So now I'm using my Honeybee Bee Creative Glue to attach the girl image to the front of it. And again, you're not going to be able to see that seam where I messed up and did the shaker. And it was my last piece of acetate, and I was devastated because I was like, I need to do the shaker. And I had already done all of the watercoloring, so I would have been devastated if I had to redo it. So now I'm attaching it to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch top folding card. And then we are going to shake it to make sure that it shakes and everything is working. And then we're going to be using a stamp set from MFT to stamp the sentiment on the inside of the card. And that is the card for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. And I'll see you again real soon in another video. Bye!